The 2025 NFL free agency class has been criticized as being one of the weaker free agent groups of the last few seasons. However, I think these are the groups that are oftentimes the most interesting because this is where you can find some serious value, bargain bin type players that end up being incredibly impactful starters for your team. Today, we are going to be looking at 5 players who were picked up in the early free agency period and talking about why I think they can be good starters for their new teams. Leave a like on this video, subscribe if you want more NFL and NFL draft content, but I don't want to waste any of your guys' time. Let's go ahead and kick this off, starting off with one of the Carolina Panthers free agency moves, Pat Jones II. Carolina has been really active in free agency looking to add to the defensive side of the football. They brought in Trayvon Merrick, they brought in Tershawn Wharton, they brought in Bobby Brown, but Pat Jones II is a guy that I think could really come in and be an impactful player for this team right away. He's coming off a career year for the Minnesota Vikings where he had 24 pressures and 7 sacks on the season while playing in 459 snaps. Brian Flores loved to rotate this edge group, and he had a really solid season. Now, I think a lot of criticism is going to come when you look at most of his production coming in games against the Tennessee Titans, the New York Giants, where 4 of his 7 sacks came in. But this is a guy that when you turn on the tape, has some really legitimate upside off the edge. He's incredibly quick off the line of scrimmage, and I think he could be an instant pass rush option. He gives you speed around the edge. He's got good bend. He plays with a high motor. And for 2 years, $20 million, I think this could be a move that Carolina could look back on and say they got a really good deal on. He has gradually improved each year of his NFL career, and I think he could be primed for a breakout in Carolina. I think right now he probably profiles best as being a rotational pass rusher and being a guy on passing downs because he still does have a 20% missed tackle rate and has had some inconsistencies against the run. But if he can come in, step up as a pass rusher, be a flamethrower off the edge, then I think paying him a $10 million per year average could be very worth it for the Carolina Panthers. And I think this is an interesting move for Carolina that could come back to be a good one for them. Another move that I absolutely loved was the Jacksonville Jaguars going out and getting wide receiver Dyami Brown. Many people are going to remember Dyami Brown from how he played in the playoffs. He had 5 receptions for 89 yards in the wild card against Tampa Bay, and then he had 6 receptions for 98 yards against the Detroit Lions in the divisional round. This is a guy that is still 25 years old and has so much football ahead of him. Many people will remember he was a 3rd-round pick from North Carolina who was drafted to be the number 2 receiver opposite of Terry McLaurin. Then the year following his draft, Washington selected Jahan Dotson, and it never quite made a lot of sense. Brown was slowly phased out of the rotation until this past year where he had a really good season for Washington. He finished with 44 receptions, 537 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the year, and I think his best football is still ahead of him. He's got remarkable speed in the open field, and he has the ability to take the top off the defense just about any time he touches the ball. I love the way he played down the stretch in the playoffs. He's still a young receiver that is seemingly getting better each and every year in the league. He is going to be a speed threat opposite of Brian Thomas Jr., where I think you could put him in the slot, you could play him on the boundary, and he could have a really nice NFL career in Jacksonville. They only gave him a 1-year deal worth $10 million, and if it doesn't work out, it's not like Jacksonville is breaking the bank over this player, but I think if it does work out, you could be looking at a really solid player that you can give an extension to next season to be a long-term receiver for this team. This is a team that cut Christian Kirk. They needed help in this receiving room. And I think Dyami Brown's skill set is perfect for what Jacksonville was looking for. I think he's going to be a really good player for this offense. He's a player I would be targeting in fantasy as a potential breakout candidate. Another potential breakout, though, has to be the Buffalo Bills going out and getting my guy, Josh Palmer. Palmer is a guy that I have been pounding the table for the last couple of seasons, and unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out for him. He battled some injuries, but if you go back to his 2022 season, he really looked like he was going to be the next great breakout receiver. He got hurt, and unfortunately, it never really happened for him. He's coming off a season where he slowly got phased out of the lineup in LA, finished the year with only 39 receptions and 1 touchdown on the year, and I don't really know why. The Chargers clearly have an issue at receiver, and Joshua Palmer, I think, is pretty perfect for what they want to do. The best way that I can describe this to Bills fans is I think Josh Palmer is a better version of Mac Hollins. He's a big receiver that's 6'2", 210 pounds. He's pretty solid in the contested catch areas with a 45.5% contested catch rate this past season, but he also has remarkable speed. This is a guy that can take the top off the defense anytime he touches the ball, and that's exactly what I think Buffalo was looking for. A boundary weapon that can be a deep ball threat for Josh Allen. And I think Joshua Palmer has some pretty incredible deep ball separation to win deep all the time. This is the exact type of player that I think Buffalo wanted to pair alongside Josh Allen. Now you've got Keon Coleman, who is your contested catch guy. You've got Khalil Shakir, who is that dynamic slot. And I think you've got Josh Palmer, who can be that deep ball wide receiver for you. They gave him a 3-year, $36 million contract, and I think he is a big play machine that is going to have his best season in Buffalo. He had 800 yards in 2022. I think he surpasses that in 2023 and ends up being one of the best free agent signings of the entire cycle. Nate Hobbs to the Green Bay Packers is one of my favorite moves of the entire offseason. A lot of people will discount Nate Hobbs because the Raiders have had a really up and down secondary. But Nate Hobbs is a really good slot cornerback, and he is going to fit in seamlessly with the Green Bay Packers. The Packers have had a hole at the cornerback position, and with the thought that they are going to be trading Jair Alexander this offseason, you needed another body on this defensive backfield. Nate Hobbs is still 25 years old. He'll be turning 26 in June, and I think this is a home run pickup for the price of 4 years, $48 million. Not only is he a solid coverage player, he's a really good run defender. He's a very good run defending slot. He had a 62.1 run defense grade with 16 run stops this past season. He comes downhill, is a physical player, can tackle, and I think he's a solid coverage player as well. The grades the last couple of seasons won't reflect that, but if you go back to his 2021 season, which was his rookie year, he looked fantastic. 3 pass breakups, 1 interception. He's got 3 interceptions in his career, and for a Green Bay team that is in desperate need of some cornerback help, I think that Nate Hobbs is going to be a really solid option for them. He gives you physicality, he gives you run defense upside, and I think he's a good mover for the position as well. I'm a big fan of this pickup, and I think it's going to be another one where the Packers just look like geniuses, and they find these guys for cheap deals, and he's going to end up playing well above what his contract is worth. But my favorite free agent signing of the entire cycle thus far has to be the New York Giants going out and getting Paulson Adibo from the New Orleans Saints. Adibo is coming off a pretty brutal leg injury that ultimately did cost him most of the 2024 season. He played in just 7 games this year, but he was putting up a career season for the New Orleans Saints. He had 7 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, and a pick 6 in just 7 games played for the Saints, and he's only 25 years old. He's 6'1", 192 pounds, and he does a little bit of everything for you. If you want him to play on the boundary, he can do that, and he's a really solid boundary corner. But he also took snaps in the slot. He can play in the box. I think he could be a safety for you. And this is a Giants team that is in desperate need of some cornerback help. Deonte Banks has been a bust up to this point in his NFL career, and you need a boundary cornerback option. Adibo, I think, gives you some really good upside. You've had struggles in that room. He has 10 career interceptions, and he is a really smart player with the football in the air. Obviously, the injury is going to be a concern, but for 3 years, $35 million, this is the exact type of contract that I would be so excited about if I was a Giants fan. You're not paying him a ton of money, and he has the opportunity to develop into a very good cornerback here. He comes in and is immediately the best player in the secondary, and I think this is a home run pickup for the New York Giants. But let me know down in the comment section, guys, what are your most underrated free agent signings, and who do you think could end up playing well above their contract's worth? Leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.